The Loki trailer. Come on, man. Low key. One of my favorites in the MCU, by the way. Top 10. I'll give him top 10. It's not like it's that many to choose from, but specific to the MCU, I fuck with him. Yeah. The thing I'm noticing, and maybe you've already figured this out, but they're approaching these. When they first announced that they were doing these shows, I took them as, they said they were doing television. And so, episodics and things like that. So I figured it'd be a lower level in terms of the production. It hasn't been the case at all.
None of them.
And for me, it seems like they're treating these as these episodics as movies, basically, and just sort of manipulating the narrative with that in mind. Would you say so? Do you feel the same way? You're the writer, so I'm asking.
Remember what Justice League, what the Snyder Cut did? It
explained everything.
No, it compiled 12 episodes into a.
Oh, you were saying it should have been a miniseries. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It didn't. You can do that and not lose quality. At the end of the day, we said this multiple times. Marvel has figured it out. Marvel has a formula that they know the fanboys and even the people who not technically, diehard fans grow up watching it. They still want to see what's going on. Because they've mastered this formula, they can basically take that and apply it to different scenarios. Like WandaVision, that WandaVision could have been a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit longer than that, because I know some of the episodes were about 30 minutes, whatever, 30, 35 minutes.
It went from like 38 to like 45. I think the final got to an hour, something like that.
WandaVision could have been like 2 movies. But instead, because you got the streaming service that you got to make pop,
right?
You have this property that's doing so well in the movies. You already have phase whatever coming out. They're smart over there. They're doing If I was in charge of Disney, and this is me patting myself on the back because I think I'm so fucking intelligent, but if I was the person over there making decisions when it comes to what to do with this Marvel property, I would do exactly what they're doing. Exactly what they're doing. You already got the big screen locked down with the pillar movies, right? The pillars. Right. So now you take characters that were a part of that and you spin them off into shit. So now you're taking over the movies, now you're taking over TV and streaming and all that stuff. And you keep the quality the same because the return is going to be the same. They're going to make the money back. It reminds me of every Wu-Tang album that came out when it was all together. And then it was like, you know what, let's make these little single albums.
Right, which were basically different renditions of group albums. Like that first generation of Wu albums, you were getting the whole hood every time.
Mm-hmm.
Just depended on the schedule. But it was like, quote unquote, someone was getting the majority of the money because it was their deal. And so,
because Wanda,
it was beautiful.
Wanda and Vision were very important characters, and they're very important. And they actually helped move the primary movies along when they were in them. But we didn't get to see enough about their relationship. They only very rarely touched on it. So that's a whole piece of subject matter right there that you can just take and parse out into episodes. And they can do that with so many of the characters and their relationships with each other because of the ensemble movies not really having enough time to touch on that stuff specifically. They got material until your grandkids are dead. That's how much material they got. They can just keep churning this shit out for the next 30 years and it'll be of solid quality. As long as they don't let Ang Lee direct another Hulk movie, which doesn't count as an MCU, even though that was the worst. That was the worst Marvel movie I think to come out. Was that?
I still got Captain Marvel, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
In terms of being overhyped, or not meeting expectations. Overhyped is something we got coming up later as well. I like how I'm teasing my own segments in the show. Like I didn't do this before the show. I'm doing it minutes before. That's what you call improvising. But Captain Marvel to me, yeah, like they knew it was trash early on or didn't give it the care it needed because they knew in terms of chronology where they were going to place that movie, it couldn't fail. It couldn't. And it didn't because we were thirsty and we wanted any sort of extra, like you said, any other crumb they could give us. And that's exactly what they got. And they got my $14.75 or whatever I ended up paying, plus the popcorn and the parking and, whatever her shit was that night. Like, so yeah, I'm still mad. Yeah. So they got my $30 for show that night. They ain't getting it for Black Widow. You already done blew that. Your credit's bad. I'm off, B. I'm off. So.
But yeah, Marvel's figured it out. Disney or whatever, whoever you want to, whatever entity we're talking about, they figured it out. So as long as they keep that structure, anything that they release is going to, in my opinion, is going to do pretty damn well.
Right. I Loki, to get back on subject because we hella digressed. A lot of Easter eggs. You brought it up again, talk about like source material for days. I've already seen the trailer a couple times and I've already watched a reaction movie to it. Eric Voss, checked out his joint. Very well detailed, good production, right on the spot. Maybe it's kind of like an album. Maybe he got a little bit early so he could prep it. I don't know, but it was done well. There's a character that they Easter egg in there that he is got a theory on it could be female Loki and from the comics. And that would be a completely different Loki using the same moniker in terms of like, maybe they want to move on past Tom Hiddleston, you know what I'm saying, who is amazing, but maybe he's tired of doing it. Maybe they're tired of him. You know how it goes. It's one of the two. Something's got to give. So that might be happening with this series, So we'll see what happens though. But I'm looking forward to it. Owen Wilson's in it.
Yeah. Is he? Oh, okay. Well, I'm there with that. I'm with it.
Yeah.
I'm with it. My favorite line that Tom Hiddleston ever said as Loki, my favorite line out of all the movies was in Doctor Strange. No, it wasn't Doctor Strange. It was the Avengers movie when Doctor Strange showed up. Remember?
Okay. I don't remember the line.
Not the second one. Not the last one, but the second to last.
Infinity War.
Maybe I'm getting them confused because I watched them all at the same time. Regardless, it's when Thor went to go retrieve his brother, and he was like, "I've been falling for 30 minutes." That's my favorite line that he said out of all the shit that he said throughout. You know what I'm talking about, right? I can't remember exactly what movie it is because I watched them all together. I've been falling for 30 minutes. That's my said.
I do. Nah, Loki, it's him and Thor like the odd couple, but just on some superhero shit. Yeah. They're both great characters. They work well together. Hopefully, it's not the end of time. I think, but it's a story, so you can do whatever you want. They can write him back in. They can write his version back in, if it all makes sense. So it's never off the table, but I think potentially that's something that could be happening. There's some clues there. Check it out for yourself. It's already out on YouTube. Boom, boom, boom.